Days like today feel extremely rare, not because we had an hour-long Kirby Direct, which, if you guys missed it, it's probably the greatest Direct of the entire year, beating out the April Direct for Switch 2 and everything. I'm telling you, what they did with Kirby Air Riders, what Sakurai presented, the passion in which he did it, all the content. I'm actually in shock that we're talking about Kirby Air Riders in this light. But here's the thing. That was this morning. We live reacted to it, and there's no new news outside of that Direct. There's a ton of news in the Direct, but we already live reacted to that. I consider that my coverage of that Direct. But there has been some new music from the game added to Nintendo Music for those that are interested. But what I'm saying about today being rare isn't just about that Direct. The Direct ended. I intended to post a video like 3 hours ago, a news video, right? We had a couple pieces of news to talk about, like Famitsu sales and all that for Pokemon Legends. And yeah, that's in today's video. But then the news kept coming and kept coming, and it didn't stop. In fact, at the time of recording this video, I'm not even sure if the news is done today. So whatever's not in this video, I guess it's gonna have to make it tomorrow. There's so many major stories today about big name games that it almost kind of felt like we were having a Nintendo Direct after the Nintendo Direct. It just didn't stop. It's like every 20 to 30 minutes, another new piece of major news dropped. When I say this is one of the most significant news videos I have made all year outside of maybe talking about the Switch 2 launch, I legitimately mean it. We have a bunch of brand new games announced for Switch 2 today from major IPs. We have some release dates for some stuff. We have so much to go over. Man, Nintendo even made an update to the eShop that is actually brilliant and great news for a lot of people, although there's a very specific reason they made that update. Guys, I got to get into this news, but before I do, I want to remind you, we are giving away 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment and 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders from that aforementioned Direct. We have a couple giveaway links for these down in the pinned comment or the description. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Let's go ahead and dive into the first thing, and that is the sales data from Famitsu for last week. And this is a major one because Pokemon Legends ZA launched last week. So we're over here at Jametsu. They're one of the first people that often get the full translation over here. And let's dive into it. Pokemon Legends ZA, the #1 spot on the software sales charts. That's for the Nintendo Switch version, sold 872,552 units. The Switch 2 version sold 612,905 units. Considering the large discrepancy in the install base, that is quite the number of people buying Pokemon Legends ZA on Switch 2. When you combine those sales together, as you should, because again, it's the same game, just one's on Switch 1 and one's on Switch 2, you end up with 1,483,000 units sold. And we're going to be comparing this to Pokemon Legends Arceus because yes, ZA did actually debut higher than that game. Now, it is significantly behind Scarlet and Violet. However, that is a dual release and obviously a generation game, right? That was a Gen 9 game. So, you consider that. It's not really surprising that this didn't sell quite as well as that. The best comparison is obviously to the previous Legends game, which it did outsell at launch here. We see Mario Kart World at #3, probably due to the bundle, at 55,996 units. We see Ghost of Yotei dropping to #4. Then we see Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 actually popping up a little bit from last week to #5. We're seeing Donkey Kong Bonanza chiming in at #6. Battlefield 6 at #7. We're seeing Little Nightmares 3 for Nintendo Switch at 8. Minecraft for Nintendo Switch at 9. And Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba at #10. Then we get to the Switch 2 sales, and this is really interesting because Switch 2 has now had probably its best week since I think the first 2 weeks in Japan, largely thanks to Legends ZA, probably due to the Legends ZA bundle, but 201,684. And you're going to see, if you compare this to the actual sales of Switch 1 with the launch of Legends Arceus, that this is double that. Now, again, different time periods, different circumstances, but still, this is a pretty impressive bump. Switch OLED models at 14,552 at the #2 spot. Switch Lite is at #3 with 7,015. We're seeing PlayStation 5 Digital Edition actually taking the lead here at 5,393, which you can see is not typically the case. PlayStation 5 dropping down to 4,683 units at #5, the base model with the disc drive. The Switch, the base model Switch, is down at 2,146 units. We have PlayStation 5 Pro at number 7 at 2,009 units. Xbox Series X Digital Edition at 86 at number 8. Xbox Series X at number 9. Xbox Series S at 10. And then the PlayStation 4 at the bottom there, selling 23 units, which I think is like 4 units ahead of last week for those keeping track of that. Now, I did say we were going to look at the Legends ZA or Legends Arceus comparison, because I do think that this is noteworthy for comparing the sales for context. So this goes all the way back to the Famitsu sales for the week of launch for Legends Arceus, and you can see 1,424,000. As I said, roughly 60,000 units ahead for launch. That's pretty impressive. You can see the Switch down there, sold 99,078 units. Again, different time periods, different circumstances, but it still beat those sales while pushing a new system at the same time. You got to say, pretty impressive. Of course, Pokemon always sells well. This does not mean Legends, ZA just did phenomenal worldwide and went crazy everywhere. We really don't know. That's not something we can determine at this time. One thing we can determine, though, is a brand new announcement. Maybe the world's worst kept secret for Switch 2. Finally, it's been confirmed, announced, and we have a release date. Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 in December. So let's go ahead and play this trailer and talk about this. Look, this game was first leaked for Switch 2 through a PEGI rating, and then we saw some other stuff leak over time. We pretty much have known this game was coming for a while. It wasn't 100% sure if it was this year. Bill Kunn, I think, said it was coming on December 5th. You're going to find out here. It's actually coming before that. And assuming this is Switch 2 footage, which it certainly looks like it is, it looks pretty damn good, which isn't really a surprise considering how well that Star Wars Outlaws from Ubisoft also runs. Again, it seems like Ubisoft is really taking its care in bringing games to Switch 2 to make sure they hold up in a way that's at least enjoyable. Obviously, we're not talking about the same resolutions and all of that you're going to get on other platforms, or even 60 FPS. I'm guessing this is a 30 FPS experience, but I gotta say, it's looking pretty good here. Again, this isn't hands-on impressions, this isn't a review, but this at least gives you a good idea that Ubisoft is bringing quality. And there it is. It's coming on December 2nd. Now, there's also a bit of news here that some people are missing, because you got to go down to the description to get it here. It says, enjoy right here. It's pretty tiny text, but it says, enjoy cross progression and touchscreen support on all menus, including the world map, store, and hideout, whether you're at home or on the go. So this means for someone like Thunderstash that started this game, I believe, on PlayStation 5, he can actually bring his save file over to the Switch 2 and finish the game on Switch 2. And yeah, obviously touchscreen support. So it's always good to have that for people that want an on-the-go experience that's decent quality while maybe you started this on PC or PS5 or Xbox. That's just good news. This is nothing but good news, really. Even if you're not interested in the game, it's good for those people that want the game. Now, speaking of something that's kind of a bittersweet piece of news, we finally have an update on Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. That's right, officially from Software. Regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, which was scheduled for release in 2025, we have determined that additional time is required for game performance adjustments, and we will therefore be changing the release to 2026. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause to all users who have been looking forward to the release of this title. We will continue to make adjustments to deliver the best possible form, so we kindly ask for your understanding. Thank you very much for your patience. And I do wonder if a little bit of this was influenced by how well Star Wars Outlaws ran and was received, because look, I played Elden Ring Tarnished Edition at PAX West, just like I played Star Wars Outlaws, and look, it ran okay. It was fine. It was certainly playable in an enjoyable form, but it was a little rough around the edges, especially with the frame rate, maybe some visual stuff here and there, but mostly the frame rate was the biggest thing that I kind of felt like it would be nice if it was a bit smoother. But then we always remember that From Software games tend to always launch a little bit in a rougher state with poor frame rates. And I think what they saw is that, with Ubisoft being happy with the sales of Star Wars Outlaws and having such a high quality port done, that, if we want Elden Ring to perform well on Switch 2, we probably should make sure that we are holding it to a bit of a higher standard. Given that it's a bit of an older release from other platforms, you probably want it to perform a little bit better. Again, I played Elden Ring. It played fine. I think this is a little bittersweet. I think we all expected a delay, but it's official now. You know what we didn't expect to happen last night, and this happened during the Nintendo podcast? How about the reveal accidentally of a brand new boss in Metroid Prime 4. We're not talking about the game itself leaking, but we're talking about 2 Nintendo ads that were uploaded to YouTube a week ago in unlisted format. For some reason, they're unlisted. I think they were probably originally private, but they went unlisted recently. And through that, we have some footage. One's of a boss that we've already technically had teased, but we see a little bit more of. One is of a brand new boss. If you don't want to see anything new, obviously turn away, skip to the next section. We have timestamps down below. But again, this is official media. Nintendo clearly plans for this stuff to be revealed before launch. So as we go down here, we see obviously from this Nintendo Life article, we're using this because I wanted to show that this is actually Nintendo's YouTube channel and all that. See Nintendo of America. I do have these downloaded just in case they deleted them, but I just wanted to show this quick, very short clips. You see this guy playing in a very, I would say, awkward way with the mouse controls, but whatever. Some people might prefer this. You can see him playing. It's going along, and here comes the new boss fight. You can see the new boss fight there. If we back up a bit, it's got this ball formation with these metal plates and this sort of green stuff that shoots out at him at one point. These balls here shoot out. You see a shot from, I believe, Samus's beam there. So yeah, kind of a cool little fight. Obviously, it's a boss fight, but we don't really know that much about it. We also have one more to show here. And again, this shows off a boss we have seen previously, but obviously, we get to see a little bit more of that boss fight. This guy using a Pro Controller this time, and there it is, this plant boss fight. We have seen a smidge of this before, but this is the most we've seen of it to date, because we're getting about, I don't know, maybe roughly 10 seconds of gameplay here. So we go back. Seems to be a theme with the lime green or whatever green color you want to call that, aqua, on some of these bosses. It might have to do with an infection or something that's affecting all this stuff. I don't know, but it's really cool to see that stuff. And this is like the, you can see the screenshots of it here as well of the boss fights. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And, they previously had like the little YouTube Shorts version as well that was uploaded unlisted, but they didn't show any new footage. So there really wasn't a big point to them, or they maybe even taken them down. Either way, I'm really happy that we got some even more news after yesterday's bevy of news for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It seems like the marketing cycle is right around the corner from wrapping up extremely. Now, setting all that aside, how about let's get back to some even more good news. How about good news for Star Wars Outlaws? I talked previously in the Assassin's Creed topic about how great of a port it was, but there are still some people that just don't have faith in this game. Well, one way you can get faith? Allowing people to try it for free. Star Wars Outlaw demo is now live on Switch 2. Play free today and explore the iconic planet of Tatooine as Kvass with your loyal companion Nyx by your side. Haven't booted up the demo myself because I have the full game, but yeah, that's great news. It is just another opportunity for people to get their hands on this game and give it a try for yourselves. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe the reviews. You don't even have to believe Digital Foundry. Just go ahead and check this out for yourself. Now, one thing that you don't have to check out for yourself, but you absolutely can, I'll put a link down below, is that Nintendo made an update to the amount of money you can actually inject into your eShop account. Previously, the limit was $250, but now it's gone up significantly, and there's a very good reason for it. Wario64 points out the Nintendo account balance is now up to $800 when it was previously $250. The balance can now be used on My Nintendo Store. And that's important because you can buy a Switch 2 console entirely with the balance and eShop credit. And you can see that they have the update here. Select the amount of funds you want to add from the available options. Note that your total balance can't exceed $800. Again, it used to be $250, but with them allowing it on the My Nintendo Store, they're essentially saying is, hey, when people give you a bunch of eShop gift cards and all of that stuff, you can use those gift cards to buy consoles now if you want. I think that that's actually really cool and something they probably should have done a long time ago. There's also, a little bit here where Nintendo lifted the balance from $250, So this is crazy, man. I actually am very, very happy about this stuff. I'm glad Nintendo's doing it. Again, it feels like something that would have made sense to do even sooner than this, but hey, now is better than never. Speaking of being better than never, how about Dragon Quest 1+2 HD getting a new story trailer, as you can see right here. Obviously, you can say they're spoilers or whatever, but look, guys, these are old games. They've been around for decades. So them coming back, although the story is going to be too spoiled except for new players, but this is official media and they're not going to spoil the whole thing. But you can see them, going over Dragon Quest 1 here. And eventually they go over Dragon Quest 2 as well, as you see some boss fights and all this kind of stuff. So Look, guys, these games are really, really exciting. If you played Dragon Quest 3 2D HD last year, or if you've never played Dragon Quest, well, that's where you start, is with Dragon Quest 3 2D HD before you come over to these bad boys right here. So, hey, man, that's because that's a prequel to these games. You don't have to play it, but it's a prequel, so it makes sense to play that one before these two. Either way, these are all precursors, obviously, to Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined coming next year, and, you know, eventually we will get Dragon Quest 12. They have already announced the game. It is in the works. Not sure when it's coming. I don't know if it's coming next year, the year after, but you figure Dragon Quest 12 has to come out at some point. But they're probably putting a lot into the game, considering how big Dragon Quest 11 was. And Dragon Quest 11 did it particularly really, really well on Nintendo Switch. Now, part of that's because Dragon Quest is massive in Japan, as is Nintendo, so they kind of go together like butter and bread. But setting that aside, it's also just because the game was phenomenal, and arguably the best the series has ever been, according to many who have played it. Fortunately, I am not one of those people. I meant unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm just now starting to get into Dragon Quest with 3, and then 1 and 2, and then 7. So honestly, I think I'm starting to become a fan, but we'll have to wait and see if I really want to dive into 12. I'm sure I'm going to want to do that. We'll put a link down to this full trailer down below if you want to finish watching it, especially the Dragon Quest 2 section. Okay, next up, I just wanted to remind people of when we're going to get the next official update from Nintendo. I kept saying that it was going to happen, you know, in the first week of November, but I couldn't figure out the exact day. Well, Pierre485, who pays attention to all this stuff, has the date locked down. Nintendo's going to be dropping their financials for the last quarter on November 4th. You can see the other major companies as well from Japan: Koei Tecmo, Capcom, Konami, Bandai Namco, Sony, Ubisoft. Ubisoft technically is not Japanese, but, you know, Square Enix, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's really exciting stuff. And it's good to just get the numbers to be official for what is sold for Switch 2, what is sold for Donkey Kong Bonanza, as an example. There was another surprise announcement today that I don't know if people expected, and it's official. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. So announced today during a Fallout Day event. And you're going to see here, very short. I don't know if this is Switch 2 footage. It could be Switch 2 footage. It is posted on the official Bethesda channel. I did watch this event live. It was pretty short, but I'm really excited about this. Now, it's coming in 2026. Well, it's coming to other platforms, you know, on November 10th, I believe. But this has all the expansion packs, all the Creation Club items, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, coming 2026. And they had some information down here as well. It said the definitive edition of Fallout 4 is coming to Switch 2. It's been 10 years since players first stepped into Vault 111 and into the post-nuclear world. To mark the occasion, Bethesda Game Studios is thrilled to announce Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. This is the ultimate celebration of a beloved classic, bringing together complete Fallout 4 experience on Switch 2. The special release includes the base game, 6 official add-ons, automation, Far Harbor, Nuka World, and workshop expansions. Whether you're building a settlement, battling robots, or exploring mysteries of the Commonwealth, every adventure is here. But that's not all. The Anniversary Edition also bundles over 150 pieces of the Creation Club content, including fan favorite and previously unreleased items designed to enhance your journey, from new weapons and different dog meat breeds, like Husky and Dalmatians, to gameplay tweaks and quest expansions. There's something for every Vault Dweller. Celebrate a decade of adventure, survival, and choice in a world forever changed. The Wasteland is yours to explore again. And again, Microsoft owns this, so this now makes the second Microsoft game coming over. This is the Anniversary Edition. We've never had a full Fallout game. I think we've only ever had Fallout Shelter, I believe, on a Nintendo platform. So this is exciting stuff. I'm really happy for it, especially when we have like Season 2 of the Fallout series coming this December. I get it. The other platforms are getting it first. They're still working on the Switch 2 stuff, but it's exciting to get it nonetheless. And you know what's also exciting to get? How about a remake of System Shock? Yeah, folks, a System Shock remake. It's coming. And it's coming to Switch and Switch 2 from Night Dive Studio. So hit play here. And yeah, I mean, look, if you played the original System Shock, you know how good this is. And it's just exciting to see Switch 2. You know, we talked about in the past, like, where's the third-party support? Where's the third-party support? Where's the third-party support? Today we got Shadows. Today we got Fallout 4. And now we're getting the System Shock remake. Guys, it's building up. We're really building here towards something pretty special. The Nintendo Switch 2 is continuing to see some pretty major third-party games continue to get announced. No, it's not everything. We still don't have a Call of Duty, and there's a contract for that. probably, hopefully, it's going to begin next year with next year's Call of Duty. So there's a lot of things that we don't know. We do know we're getting Indiana Jones and the Great Circle next year, but this is already like significantly better third-party support than we had at the beginning of the Switch era, and it's continuing to grow. So I'm really excited for this. And I gotta say, this remake is the first time I've really seen this footage. It's looking pretty good. I beat the original System Shock a long time ago. I gotta say, the remake's looking kind of good. Like, hey, people that keep trying to reboot Ubisoft, whether you keep trying to reboot a certain Prince of Persia game, Sands of Time, and like remake that, pay attention to what they did here, because this is good. This is really good. And I don't believe that there's a release date. It just says coming soon. Yeah. And game cart is included, so it's a full physical. That's going to make people happy. Having a full physical is obviously something that might encourage even more sales of it. And the last one we have for you today is actually an update with a release date to a game that was announced for the Switch 2 all the way back during that April Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And that is, well, Warhammer 40,000 Rogue. Okay, Rogue Trader, I guess I should say. We now have an official release date, pretty short trailer here. And that's exciting because, again, this was announced alongside the Switch 2 during the actual Switch 2 Direct. And we really haven't heard much about it since. So I wanted to make sure we got this release date update out there. I believe it's coming in December. We'll see here in a moment. I was glancing at it earlier. I'm just really excited to see all these third-party games, man. We've been waiting, like, where are the big third-party games? They're here. They're coming. Yeah, we're not day and date with everything yet, but it's coming. Slowly but surely, we are starting to get the big names, the big games, the Elden Rings, the Assassin's Creeds, the Warhammers. You know, I'm so excited for this because this bodes so well for 2026. And we're already hearing from several journalists that have some inside info that 2026 is going to be a huge year for AAA third-party games on Switch 2. So really excited about that, and it's coming December 11th. See, I was right. It was December. Dude, December kind of is a little packed there. You have Assassin's Creed Shadows on the 2nd, you have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond on the 4th, and now you have Warhammer on the 11th. That's a pretty packed little week and a half there. Look, guys, the Nintendo Switch 2 is just piling on the news right now. And in fact, while I was recording this, there's probably been even more stuff happening. But you know what? I had to cut it at some point. Any more news the rest of the day? That's going to be for tomorrow's video, or maybe we'll talk a little bit about it tonight. We will be live streaming tonight because we got to talk more about the Kirby Direct and all of this news. The Switch 2 is ramping up. The sales data is even looking extremely good. Yesterday, we had the sales data from, what is it, Circana for September. And then today, we have the sales data from the launch week of ZA. So I feel like, you know, it's probably time that we talk some sales data tonight. I haven't done that in particular on a live show in a while. So tune in if you want to hear some sales data talk and all of that, and see how well or poorly Switch 2 is doing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video.